Live. Hello, everybody. Chuck Holton here, coming to you from a very quiet mountain village in Armenia. And we got some big news here. Just a couple hundred miles south of where I'm standing, things are spontaneously combusting all over Iran. And this is war. This is huge. What we're seeing, I just woke up. It's 6 o'clock in the morning here. And good grief, I can't even go to sleep without things blowing up all over the place. Make sure that you let us know where you're coming in from, please, and please share this broadcast. I've got a lot of information for you here, and so share this with your friends. Hit that like button and comment where you're watching from, so the algorithm knows to show this to more people. Yesterday we had 52,000 people watching my live during the show, and that's not a record, but that's a lot. That's pretty big. So please do that and help out with the algorithm. So now let's start with what's going on. Israel is conducting strikes, widespread strikes across Iran. They started just a few hours ago. Iran has already confirmed that Israel has killed at least 4 important people with targeted assassinations. General Hossein Salami, we talked about General Salami last night. General Salami was one of the guys that was running his mouth yesterday and saying that, the kind of, this is going to be the mother of all battles, and, we're going to take Israel down, et cetera, et cetera. So General Salami got turned into Salami, and General Golmani Rashid, the senior military strategist, Dr. Tehranchi, the president of Iran's biggest university, and Faridun Abbasi, I'm sure I'm massacring those names, but he's a top nuclear scientist. That in and of itself is a huge blow to Iran. But it's continuing. There's a lot more going on, and Israel is geared up for war. Now, let's also clarify that the United States says that they are not involved. The United States is not assisting in any way, and that's unfortunate in my opinion. Like I said yesterday, it's like the big brother sending the little brother out to fight the bully when the big brother ought to be taking care of it. But it is what the United States has. There's a segment of the Trump administration and the right wing of the Republican Party in the United States that says this is not our fight, this is not our war. We should stay out of it. It has nothing to do with America. That is extremely short-sighted, in my opinion, and just displays an ignorance of how global geopolitics affect us at home. And this is one of the things that I am always trying to educate people on. And so Mark Levant is asking, how are they going to pull off these attacks without bunker busters? Well, it looks like they may have actually gotten their hands on some bunker busters. I don't know that they have the massive ordnance penetrator, but there was a photo that was circulating on social media last night that was showing one of the Moab bombs, which is a fuel air explosive in Israel. Now, a Moab bomb is not a bunker buster, and it's meant to decimate troops in the field, and it can destroy lots of buildings and things. It's a very, very large explosive, but it is not a bunker buster. It does not penetrate deep into the ground like the massive ordnance penetrator does. And so, but it's also too big for any of the airplanes that Israel has to drop. So why they had a picture of it and they claim that picture was in Israel, I am skeptical. I don't think it was a picture of the bomb in Israel. It was hard to tell from the photo, and it certainly wasn't corroborated. So I would say that Israel has bunker busters. They just don't have the biggest bunker buster. To remind you, the massive ordnance penetrator, MOP, I think it's a GBU-84, is an American bomb that was essentially designed to take out Iran's nuclear capability. And somebody says a C-130 could drop it. They can drop, those things can drop a Moab, but I don't think they can drop a massive ordnance penetrator. This is a bomb that has 30,000 pounds of explosive. It can penetrate up to 65 feet of reinforced concrete or more than 200 feet of rock and earth. Now, we'll talk in a little bit about whether or not that would even do the job, but you know, let's continue. First of all, Luis Velasquez says, do you think some of Mossad could be embedded inside the underground bunkers where the nukes are? I don't think they'd be embedded inside the bunkers, but we have, not we, Israel has assets all over inside Iran. I was saying this on yesterday's live. Israel has the ability to know what every general in the IDF had for breakfast. They have a tremendous intel capability in place inside Iran. And if you, we saw what they could do in Lebanon with Operation Grim Beeper, taking out the, the Hezbollah top brass. You don't think that they don't have things like that inside Iran? Of course they do. Israel has been preparing for war with Iran for more than 15 years. And so this is coming to fruition today. They're putting into place and they're executing all of these plans that they've had in place for many, many years. Okay? So Israel has launched 2 waves of attacks. I can show you here, some of the video that's coming out of Iran. And I'm going to show you a video from Benjamin Netanyahu in just a minute. But you can hear the Iranians yelling and screaming there. And so far we know of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places across Iran where there have been strikes. Now, I'll show you this map. Hopefully you can see this. I'm sorry I have to do it this way, but I didn't have time to set up my computer and get it all produced. But here we go. I'm right up here in the northern part of Iran. I mean, just north of Iran, okay? And just south of us in Tabriz, which is very close to the border, they've had strikes. They've also had strikes in Kermanshah, Arak, Tehran, Natanz, and Isfahan. Now, I'm going to go over the various facilities that are going to need to be struck. I'll hold that up there. It might be backwards for you. I don't know. I'll put that up there for you so you can see all the places where the strikes are taking place. Okay. This is kind of jerry-rigged. I'm sorry about that, but doing the best I can here. Reports from Iran say that in half an hour, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei will declare full-scale war on Israel. However, Israel controls the skies over Iran. They have taken out the entirety of Iran's air defense networks. They have shot down, reportedly, several, at least 4 Iranian aircraft. Iran doesn't have that many aircraft, and none of them are any match for Israeli aircraft. So this is just getting started, folks. This is just getting started right now. Now let's talk about the various sites that are going to need to be struck in this war, okay? The major enrichment facilities and reactors, they have the one at Natanz, which is Iran's primary uranium enrichment complex. It hosts both pilot and large-scale cascades. There's an underground enrichment plant near Qom at the Fordo plant. The Arak plant that just got hit is a heavy water reactor site, which was reconfigured under the JCPOA. There's a site at Bushehr. Iran's only commercial nuclear plant is there. Isfahan, which has already been struck, is a key conversion, research, and fuel manufacturing hub. Tehran Nuclear Research Center houses U-fuel reactor and radiochemistry labs. So that may have also been struck, because we know that were strikes in Tehran. Additional fuel cycle support sites include Ardakan, Anarak, Bonab, Chalas, Lashkar Abad, which is former laser enrichment testing, Sagand, Yazd, which are mining, processing, and radiation facilities, Darkovin, which is a new civilian power reactor that they're just bringing online. Total count estimate, at least 6 major sites actively involved in enrichment, reactor operations, or research. And then they have an extended support network, possibly 2 to 3 dozen additional facilities covering mining, mills, waste storage, isotope labs, older experimental sites, and undeclared locations. Investigations suggest there are also undeclared facilities related to nuclear weaponization, including Parchin and sites in Sennan, Yaz, and Alborz regions. In June, just a few days ago, Iran activated their 3rd enrichment facility, which marks the first expansion in about 20 years following an IAEA censure. That just happened yesterday. And so a bunch of things coalesced yesterday that brought us to where we are today, okay? And what I'm talking about are President Trump gave Iran 60 days to make a deal, come to the table, and agree to get rid of their enrichment facilities. And Iran said, no, we're not going to do it. Well, today is 61 days since Trump said that. And so Israel is doing the work, but they must have gotten approval from President Trump to do this, or at least President Trump was in the loop on all of this. And look, they didn't make a deal in 60 days. So how's this going to make President Trump look? Well, I think in some circles, they're going to say, aha, see, Iran messed around and now they're finding out. President Trump says, you got 60 days. You got 60 days. The problem is President Trump is not allowing the United States to actually be involved in this. And so, again, it kind of makes America look like we're hiding behind our much smaller, much smaller brother, Israel. However, we will see whether or not this holds, whether or not the United States can stay out of this for long. Because as Michael Yon likes to say, all wars grow and they grow unpredictably and you never know where they're going to go. So it could very well get to the point where the United States gets involved. We have plenty of assets in the region. Iran has not responded yet to any of these attacks. And with that in mind, we have to imagine that they may be striking at U.S. troops in the region. So we've got more than 40,000 U.S. troops in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Israel. And we have something like 1,000 troops in Israel right now. So assuming, let's say Iran manages to strike at Israel and they manage to hit the base where these American troops are housed and kills a bunch of American troops, you've got to believe the United States would have to get involved at that point. Or if they strike one of our bases in Qatar or Bahrain or Kuwait, then yeah, it's very likely that the United States gets involved in this. Now, are we looking at troops on the ground? Probably not. Thank you, William. Very kind of you. I appreciate all the donations that people give. That's what helps us stay out here in the field. I just saw another one from William Woodard. He's asking, might we not participate in the strike while simply publicly denying the participation? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible, but I think it would be difficult for the United States to cover that up. You know, when we did Operation Rough Rider against the Houthis, we lost, what, 2 or 3 aircraft doing that, and none of them were shot down. We just lost them because, you know, they went overboard, they, you know, crashed on takeoff, stuff like that. So if the United States was, the thing is, the United States doesn't necessarily have to send, you know, airplanes into Iran to become a part of this operation. We could just allow Israel to use some of our assets, like refueling assets or something like that. Now, I don't know if Israeli pilots have the ability to land on American aircraft carriers. I don't think they train for that. So, but if they could, then we could allow them to refuel on American aircraft carriers or something like that, or rearm. The big problem that Israel has, they've got their entire Air Force in the air right now. Their entire Air Force is flying sorties against Iran. And thank you, Theo Frastu. I can't pronounce the name, sorry. Israel has their entire Air Force in the air, and it's a several-hour flight. It's a couple-hour flight from Israel, 1,000 miles over to Iran, and then back. And so, you know, it would be a lot better if there were some closer places where Israeli aircraft could stop and rearm and refuel and things like that. But they don't have that right now. They just announced a full evacuation of Ben Gurion Airport. That just came through. I'm trying to see what that was all about. In the meantime, I want to show you Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech that he just gave about this attack. It's excellent, and you've got to hear it. So I'm going to just hold this up and hope that you can hear and see Prime Minister Netanyahu. Here we go.
Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat. It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel. You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year, we struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend others. We defend our Arab neighbors. They too have suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world.
So this goes on, but that gives you a good sense of what Benjamin Netanyahu is saying. He went to the Western Wall yesterday afternoon and prayed. Now we know what he was praying about. He made a very good point there that I want to comment on. Again, thank you for all of you who are making donations there. That does help us stay in the field. And you can go to chuckholton.com and you can support us over there if you like and get access to a lot of extra content and my books, my documentaries, and all sorts of things that we put up over there for our supporters. So go to chuckholton.com for that. Also, please make sure you hit that like button, folks. I know you need to be reminded to do that. And there's 1,774 likes, so please go hit that thumbs up. That tells YouTube to show this to more people. So, Benjamin Netanyahu, somebody's saying Benjamin Netanyahu is a murderer. Benjamin Netanyahu is not a murderer. Benjamin Netanyahu is a leader of his country. It's his job to safeguard his people. Now, Benjamin, the IDF was not killing anybody on October 6th, right? They were at peace. And all of this is due to what happened on October 7th. Benjamin Netanyahu is doing what he has to do to safeguard his people. You think he's just supposed to sit back and let Iran destroy his country? Is that what you're saying? So I don't get these people that can't understand the morality of what Israel is doing right now. It is an exceedingly moral thing that he's doing, and that's what he was pointing out in his speech. He said, look, we're not just safeguarding Israel. We are helping the rest of the Middle East because, as he pointed out, the actions they've taken against Hezbollah have created a new government in Lebanon. They have led to the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime. Now, I don't think he can take credit for that. That had more to do with Turkey than it had to do with Israel, but certainly the Israeli conflict has set the stage for what happened in Syria and allowed that to take place. And everybody's hopeful that what has happened in Syria will result in a better Syria for the Syrian people. And there are actually a lot of Syrian people that are going back to Syria now and are, moving back there. So that's a good sign. But there are also some very concerning signs out of Syria, which we'll talk about on a different live. But he's also safeguarded the other Arab countries in the Middle East. He has made it safer for Saudi Arabia. He's made it safer for Iraq, safer for Jordan, because all of those countries have been under the thumb of Iran and have had to deal with the threat from Iran. So I can promise you right now that the leadership in Saudi Arabia is following this very closely, and they're very happy about what they're seeing happen inside Iran. So going back to what's happening now, as I mentioned, Ben Gurion Airport is being evacuated. Is from an Israeli source. This is from Amir Tsarfati's thing. Before the attack on Iran, Israel carried out a deception operation for days that included media and political components and thus managed to surprise Iran. The plan had only a few secret partners who managed to keep the secret. In recent days, the Prime Minister's office has distributed various announcements and briefings aimed at influencing the internal discourse in Israel and Iran. The goal was to make Israeli public and the Iranian leadership think that there would be no attack in the immediate term. Now, I'm not sure that that comes from an Israeli source, again, being reported by Amir Tsarfati. I'm not sure I believe that. I'm not sure I swallow that because I did a live yesterday talking about, it looks like we're very, very close to war. It looks like Israel is about to go to war with Iran. And everybody's been talking about that. So the fact that it's actually happening now makes me think, I don't know that Israel did a very good job if they're saying that it's a deception operation. So far, there has not been any retaliation by Iran because Iran is in chaos at this moment. The IAF, the Israeli Air Force, has performed at least 2 sorties, but they say they are just getting started. There was in this announcement from Benjamin Netanyahu, he said that this is going to continue and that they're just beginning in their operation. So they're bombing the entrance shafts for IRGC missile bases in Tabriz to prevent a fast retaliation. So what they're doing, according to this report, is they're trying to keep Iran from being able to even get their missiles out of their bunkers because they hide their missiles deep underground. Israel does not have the capability of destroying those bunkers because some of them are thousands of feet under mountains, but they are collapsing the entrances of those bunkers to make it more difficult for them to get any missiles or jets or anything out of their bunkers. Now, here's a question from Forged Golid. What's the probability of another country aside from Iran striking Israel, and what country would? Well, that's a very good question. Yemen is likely to be firing missiles at Israel very soon. It's possible we could see missiles coming out of the usual suspects in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq. Now, so far in this conflict, Jordan has quietly taken the side of Israel. They've actually helped to shoot down some of the ballistic missiles that Iran has fired at Israel in the past. You know that the last 2 times that Iran has attacked Israel, both of them have been record-breaking, the largest ballistic missile attacks in history. More than 300 ballistic missiles at one time fired at Israel. And absolutely 0 Israelis were killed in those attacks. And part of the reason for that is because the United States, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia have all helped to shoot down those missiles and drones and things that have been sent toward Israel. But we certainly could see attacks from Hezbollah if they're able to muster anything, from Hashishabi units in Syria. These are Iranian-backed militias in Syria and in Iraq, and from even perhaps Yemen or even Sudan. Now, they're saying they're now into the 4th wave of attacks on Iran. Reports at this time indicate that the 4th wave of attacks by IDF forces against targets in Iran has begun. The attacks are targeting military and nuclear infrastructure, and explosions are being heard in several locations across the country. Officials in Iran have not yet commented. That's from Abu Badr, by the way. Look, there will be a reply from Iran. They're not going to be able to completely wipe out Iran's capabilities without Iran making some sort of reply. But already we are seeing that Iran has been severely hampered. They're striking communications nodes and are striking at headquarters facilities, IRGC headquarters. They, as I said, have already taken out the IRGC commander. They've taken out the commander of the Quds Force, reportedly. So, I mean, their leadership is being decapitated as we speak. And this is big, folks. This is big. Ali Shamkhani, Khamenei's senior advisor, is potentially dead or at least in critical condition. There's his picture right there. The Israeli strikes so this is from Manny's War Room. The Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, military sites, and top military and nuclear officials was enabled by, quote, breakthrough intelligence, unquote, obtained by the Military Intelligence Directorate in the past year, a senior IDF official says. The official says dedicated units were established in the Israeli Air Force and Intelligence Directorate focused on Iran and preparations for large-scale strikes. Following Israel's strike on Iran in October, the Intelligence Directorate carried out an unprecedented concentration of efforts to build an opening blow against senior Iranian military officials and nuclear scientists. So it's exactly what I've been saying. Israel has been planning this and has been setting this up inside Iran for years, and they've been coming to a head over the last several months. So they have, look, Iran is so corrupt, the government there is so corrupt, that it's simple for Israel to just offer money to people in Israel, in Iran, and get them to bring intelligence to the Israelis, or get them to do things like, I don't know, installing explosives in a bedroom in a highly secure government facility where Ismail Haniyeh was sleeping, things like that. So the Mossad is very heavily active inside Iran. And we have seen these events, let's call them, all around Iran over the past month. I was talking about yesterday that, things have just been spontaneously combusting. The port at Bandar Abbas just went up in flames. There have been ships, just yesterday, a ship that with a cargo of methane went up, killed 3 people. There are all these accidents that are happening. One of them blew up a motorcycle factory where they were making motors that just so happen to be the exact same motors that go in Shahed drones. That thing just accidentally, spontaneously combusted. We don't know what happened. The Israelis have not taken credit for any of those, but I think you can connect the dots. If you've got 2 brain cells to rub together, you can tell that this is likely something that's happening because of actions taken by Israel. Speaking to the IDF's top brass ahead of the strikes on Iran, Defense Minister Israel Katz said the military developed exceptional capabilities for the operation. And he said that upon taking office, I defined the thwarting of Iran's nuclear ambitions as a top priority. Iran is more determined than ever to realize its vision of destroying Israel. We are at a critical juncture. If we miss it, we will have no way to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons that threaten our existence. We have dealt with Iran's proxies over the past year and a half, but now we're dealing with the head of the snake itself, Katz continued. Over the years, and especially in recent months, the IDF has built exceptional capabilities in intelligence and operations, both defensive and offensive, which enable us to effectively confront the major challenges we face. So there you go. If they are effective enough at this, you're talking about regime change inside Iran. Very likely. Very likely we may see regime change in Iran. And now, is this going to make the Iranian people want to go to war with Israel? No. For the most part, the Iranian people are not pro-Iran. At least they're not pro their government. They live under a dictatorship, and they know it. How do I know this? Well, I've talked to a bunch of Iranians here in Armenia. As I mentioned, I'm just a couple hours drive from the Iranian border right now, and I'm going to be in the province that borders Iran this morning. We're going to go down there today. And so this is, it's easy to meet Iranians coming across the border. And when I was here in September, I talked to a truckload of Iranian men that stopped in the village that we were in, and those guys did not like the regime in Iran. They would have loved to have seen the Iranian regime fall. Anybody know what brand jacket I'm wearing? I don't know. It's REI. It's an REI jacket. Maybe we can tag that in our feed. So Folks, we got over 8,000 people watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Don't forget. And also, if you want to follow my reporting, toss me a bone and buy a cup of coffee for us over at chuckholton.com by becoming a supporter over there. Or you can do that here on YouTube in the super chat, super thanks if you know how to do that. We appreciate all the donations, and we try to use them the best we can to help people around the world. So this is Hossein Salami, who was killed in an airstrike, one of the first airstrikes today. This is especially sweet for Israel because this guy was threatening Israel on the air, on television, yesterday, just yesterday, and now he is gone. What kind of war can Iran execute against Israel when Iran's not an expeditionary military? Very good question, Lance. So an expeditionary military is a military that has the capability of moving their troops from one country to another. Iran has the largest military in the Middle East. They've got over 500,000 people under arms. However, it's not expeditionary. They don't have, somebody said, drink some water. So I will drink some water. They don't have ships or planes that could move their troops somewhere else. So if the Iranians wanted to, let's say, attack Israel on the ground, they would have to march their troops all the way across Iraq and Jordan, and that would be basically impossible to do. Those troops would be sitting ducks for Israeli aircraft, and the Israelis have complete air superiority at this point. And so there's no way that they would be able to get their troops to Israel in order to attack Israel. Thank you, Mr. Crook. Appreciate that. So that Iranian military is essentially irrelevant at this point. They don't have the ability to strike at Israel with anything except drones and missiles. Their air force can't make it to Israel. Their troops can't make it to Israel. And so the only thing they can strike Israel with is missiles and drones. Now, missiles and drones, thank you, Rebecca, very kind. We ascertained the last time this happened, back in October, that Iran had about 3,000 missiles, but the vast majority of those are too short range to make it to Israel. And so they really only had maybe less than 1,000 total, probably in the maybe 400 or 500 missiles total that left that could make it to Israel after firing more than 300 ballistic missiles at Israel in October. So those, again, what Israel is trying to do right now, knowing that they can't blow up the bunkers completely that hold those missiles, is they're just bombing the entrances to the bunkers to make it difficult, if not impossible, for Iran to get those missiles out of the bunkers. Okay, thank you, Donald. Appreciate that. Boy, there's questions flying by so fast. I'm trying to get to these. Forged says, does Israel typically allow travel during wartime? This is likely to strain their already hurting economy. Their economy's doing okay. It obviously has been costly for them. Certainly is costly. Thank you, MS, whoever you are. It has been costly for Israel, this war. No question about that. But they do allow travel during wartime. The U.S. Embassy in Israel has told its employees not to go anywhere outside of Tehran, Jerusalem, or Beersheba. Come here, boy. Come here. There's a big old dog coming over here who wants to come see me, and I'm trying to make sure he doesn't. Thank you, Rochelle. Oh, that's a nice dog. That's a nice dog. He's a big old dog. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come over here. Come over here. Come on. Yes, you're a nice dog. He just wants some loving. But so thank you for watching this channel. What effect will this have on the hostage situation in Gaza? Well, IDF is continuing to ramp up its war in Gaza with more and more troops, and we've seen some of the most intense fighting, thank you, Mark, that we've seen throughout the entire war. And so I guess you could say that it will continue. Where it's not like Hamas has a lot of ability to strike at Israel in retaliation for this. So what this likely will do is help to hasten the end of the war, because Hamas still tries to get money in from Iran to support their operations. And we talked yesterday about the report that came out explaining the different ways that Israel, I'm sorry, that Hamas tries to raise money by extorting money from its own people, stealing the aid and selling it to its own people. I was afraid of that. Quit kicking my tripod, dog. Yeah, that's a good girl. Oh, that's a good dog, yes. So here, I got to show you this dog. She's so cute. Yeah, that's a sweet baby. Yeah. So Hamas is trying everything it can to be able to continue fighting and continue supporting its operations. Taking out Iran is definitely going to be a step in the right direction towards ending the war for good. Do you feel the hostages have been put on the back burner for other military objectives? I don't know that I would put it that way. It's obvious that Israel understands. They've got 53 hostages left. Most of those are dead, maybe about 20 of them still alive in Gaza. Israel is trying to get them back, but they have to destroy Hamas, and they are realizing that they're not going to be able to keep this war going forever. And so they've got to step up the timeline. That does put the hostages in Gaza at more risk, at a bigger risk. And that's just the way it is with this war. So I've said this for a long time. It's very likely that Israel is not going to get many live hostages back out of Gaza. Let's hope they do. I hope I'm wrong about that, but it certainly is less likely now than it was earlier, okay? All right, so I saw another question go flying by there. I heard you mention trip to Israel in July. Am I going sooner? I don't think so, because I'm just booked. I'm just booked solid. I really don't have time to go to Israel any sooner than the 1st of July. So that's only a couple weeks away. Thank you, Chad. And I already have a trip planned there. Right now, I couldn't even get into Israel because they've closed the airport. Now that you're out of the Army, are you a dirty, nasty leg? Yeah, I guess I am. My wife won't let me jump anymore. The question is Israel able to destroy all the nuclear sites? Aren't many of them deep underground? Good. Thank you, Arian, for that question. Israel is not able to destroy those sites. What they're trying to do is destroy access to the sites by collapsing the entrances to them and taking out the power generation capability that powers those sites, okay? Why are the U.S. not even helping? What's the reason? Yeah, Trump said he would be leading the charge, and he's not. So that makes the United States look weak, if you ask me. So I don't know what else to say about that. I'm disappointed. Thank you, Sherry. Very kind of you. I would really appreciate that. Those of you, let's see. Okay, that was another question. What's next for Hamas now? Well, how about destruction? That's probably what's next for Hamas, Benjamin. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions. So let me just reiterate for those of you that are just joining us. Israel is now into its 4th sortie of strikes against Iran. What we're looking at right here is full-scale war. And Iran has already said that they will be declaring full-scale war against Israel in the next several hours. They're trying to get their act together right now because it is chaos inside Iran right now. Ben Gurion Airport in Israel has been evacuated. At least 4 important IRGC generals have been targeted and assassinated by Israel. Thank you, Leah. Very kind of you. The general in charge of the IRGC has been taken out. The top nuclear scientist in Iran has spontaneously combusted. Any reports of contamination? No reports of contamination at all. TBN said that U.S. is helping through back channels. Well, there's no reports of that happening right now. It wouldn't surprise me, but why does it need to be back channels? President Trump said the United States would conduct military operations against Iran after 60 days. This is the 61st day. Israel is conducting military operations, not the United States. Why wouldn't the United States join them in that and help them actually destroy those bunkers rather than just collapse the entrances? Hi, Mama Marissa. You don't need to donate. You do enough. Thank you very much. Will Iran or Russia retaliate on the U.S.? Well, in various ways, yes. Good question. Iran will retaliate by trying to close off the Persian Gulf from commercial shipping. And that's big because a tremendous amount of oil from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and Iraq comes through that Persian Gulf. So they have already said that if they were struck, they would close those whether the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I'm sure that was part of the planning. Thank you, Forged. Sure, that was part of the planning by Iran. I'm sorry, by Israel. I keep mixing those up. I need some coffee this morning. That was definitely part of the plan to try to degrade or destroy Iran's naval forces so that they can't do that. But definitely Iran is going to try to attack global shipping, and that has already made oil prices go up. Just the fact that there was an attack on Iran has made oil prices jump over the last few hours, and we're likely to see more of that. That's not going to affect America all that much. Iran also is reported to have quite a few sleeper agents inside the United States. So we could see terror attacks in the United States in retaliation for these attacks. Iran has heavily been trying to recruit Israelis to conduct terror attacks inside Israel, if you can believe that. They just arrested a 13-year-old boy in Israel who was working for, he was recruited by Iran through social media and was going around taking pictures of things he shouldn't have been taking pictures of. And so he was just arrested by Israel. Iran has been trying very hard to get assets on the ground inside Israel that they could use for asymmetric warfare. They have not been very successful at that, I don't think. But it's much easier for them to get sleeper cells into America, and we know they have them in America. And so it is likely that there may be attacks inside the United States in retaliation. Any reports of oil ports in Iran being bombed, other than the port at Bandar Abbas, which blew up by itself the other day, right so far, we don't see any reports of ports being bombed just yet. But they're going to be lower down on the priority list. Right now, what Israel is trying to do is they're trying to destroy the Air Force that Iran has, such as it is, destroy the entrances to the bunkers where they have the missiles hidden, so they can't get the missiles out to fire at Israel, and going after the nuclear sites and start pounding those, okay? As Israel has said, this is going to be an ongoing conflict. This is just the beginning. It's not going to be a one-off like the other ones were. This is full-scale war, people. This is big. And this is going to go on for some time, most likely. It is likely that the United States gets involved at some point. But Harvey says, why does America get to decide who can and cannot have nuclear weapons? Well, we don't get to decide that in every case, but in this case, we have decided to decide that because of the threat that Iran poses to the Western world. Okay? Can Iran recover quickly enough to do much? We'll have to see. Iran has not replied yet. It may likely take them, days or more to garner some sort of response, but it's going to be difficult for them to do that with Israel continuing to pound them from the air. Keep in mind, though, folks, it's very, very, very difficult to win a war solely from the air. Just dropping bombs on things does not enable you to win the war. It can enable you to set back your enemy's capabilities quite a bit, but it's unlikely to let them win the war, except if the Iranians are if the Israelis manage to destroy Iran's critical infrastructure, not just their military infrastructure, not just their nuclear infrastructure, but in order to actually win the war without putting troops on the ground in Iran, Israel would have to strike at critical civilian infrastructure like power, communications, computer nodes, things like that, transportation, bridges, and things like that. Because what they have to do to make the regime collapse is they've got to make the people of Iran miserable enough that the people will overthrow the regime. And that may be part of their plan, but not likely, because Israel tries very hard not to hit civilian targets. So right now they are only hitting targets that have importance from a military standpoint. Thank you, Alex. Very kind of you. Can you envision Russia attacking Israel in retaliation? Very good question. Russia has warned Israel against striking Iran in the past. Russia has also lately been flying military hardware into Iran, mostly air defense networks. I said this at the time, and we're finding it to be true now. It doesn't matter what Russia sends to Iran in terms of their air defense, because Russia does not have any air defense that thwart the F-35 platform. They just don't. And the F-35s that Israel has can take out any air defense that Iran could get from China, North Korea, or Russia. But Russia has been sending them stuff and has been trying to get more drones out of Iran to take to Ukraine, which, by the way, they drive those right past where I'm standing. Those drones that come out of Iran go right through Armenia, many of them, up through Georgia and into Russia, and then get used on Ukraine. And so I will be driving on that road this morning. And so I'll let you know if we see any kind of military hardware, but most of the time it's hidden anyway, and you wouldn't know what you were looking at. Do you think Iran has sleepers in Israel to strike back? I don't think, I think, as I said, it's much harder for them to have sleepers in Israel. And so how does a man function well without coffee? Thank you, Shannon. Not very well, obviously. So I've got to go get some coffee here in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to be monitoring this situation. Obviously, it's getting very late in the United States. I will go live again later today, and we will give you an update on what's going on in this region, okay? Could North Korea send nukes to Iran? I guess it's not. There's a less than less than Russia doing it, or even maybe China doing it, but it is possible. There's a non-zero chance that North Korea could sell or loan, I don't know, give a nuke to Iran. The problem is Iran needs to have the delivery mechanism to get it to Israel. And what we're seeing right now is Israel striking at the places where they would house those delivery mechanisms. Okay? So, all right, I'm going to let you go, folks. We've got to get packed up and get on the road here. But that is your update for 7 a.m. In where am I? Armenia. What country is this? What's my name? So somebody said Iran has hypersonic weapons. Yeah, they tried to use a couple of those on Israel already, and they didn't work out so well. So I don't think Israel's real worried about hypersonic weapons out of Iran. And even if they do have them and are able to strike at Israel with them, putting a nuclear weapon on one of those is going to be pretty difficult. Okay? So, all right, that's all I've got for today. God bless you all. And from beautiful Armenia, check out man, it's just gorgeous here. We will see you next time. Take care.